Hey, I've got a new friend on the channel today. David, I failed to check the pronunciation of your last
Oh,
name. You're going to have to do it for me.
yeah, Nicotra, yeah,
Nicotra.
yeah,
It depends how much your ancestors cared to Americanize,
yeah, yeah,
because it would be Nicotra is probably what you hear most
Nicotra,
frequently
yeah.
from others. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Sicilian last name, although it has Greek origins. But yeah,
Yeah.
Nicotra
Probably
is
from
how we say it.
Nikao, like
Nika.
conquer.
Yes, exactly. It literally means to deliver victory, actually. So Nico being like victory, and then tra is like just like the bringing to bear or something like that.
Oh, sort
Nicotra.
of like, well, in Spanish, well, I'm thinking of, traducir is like to bring across.
Yes, yes, yes,
So in
yes. Like
Sicilian, Italian is presumably similar. Okay, we've got that out
somewhere
of
in
the
that.
way.
You got it.
That's great. And you've been put in contact with me by a mutual friend
Yeah.
from a long time ago. And I don't say yes to everybody who wants to come on the channel. And that's not necessarily what you were wanting to do,
No,
but
no, no,
just
no,
make a
no, no.
connection. But as soon as I saw what you were doing at koineguide.com, I thought, this is somebody I have to have come on the channel. So let me just have you give the very,
Sure.
briefest elevator pitch first about what koineguide.com is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. I really appreciate you giving me a chance to come on and chat about it. This is a tool that I've been wanting to build for a really long time, about 7 years now. And my desire with the platform is to give anyone who's done some level of Greek, whether that's self-taught, seminary courses, college, a easy onboard to actually start utilizing their Greek language skills on the New Testament itself by giving them a little bit of helps, giving them some parsing quizzes, but most importantly, giving them immediate feedback on how they have translated or interacted with a verse of the New Testament. And with that comes some stats and some kind of recordings of a user's translation journey, how much of the New Testament have they completed, what portion of certain books have they done, all that kind of stuff, trying to make it as gamified and enjoyable of a process as possible. But the true hope is to just help that transition happen from leaving the classroom setting to actually jumping in directly to the New Testament text itself, again, with some guardrails.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And this is a somewhat long elevator. This is like the Empire State Building elevator. But you need a little bit of time to explain.
Yes.
Let me jump in and ask, and I know the answer to this question, but I find this really fascinating. I think this will get to like the center of why I thought
Yes.
this was such a great thing to talk about on the channel. Why did it take so long?
Yeah, so I'm not a coder by trade. This is not my native environment. I've been in kind of the technology space for most of my career, but definitely not doing coding projects on my own. I have taken some boot camps and things like that, and one of the reasons it's taken so long to do is because I, one, lacked the skill to do so until a lot of the most recent kind of LLM advancements, ChatGPT and many others, and what a lot of people refer to as like vibe coding platforms, which does a vast majority of the heavy lifting for you from a coding perspective. So it really just lowers the bar of entry to bringing an idea to life. And since I've had this idea batting around in my mind for years now, it's relatively polished in here, but it couldn't materialize
Yeah.
in the real world
Yeah.
until I started using some of these tools. So I use Replit in particular. It's a very popular vibe coding tool platform to help bring this idea to life and actually make it available to others and not just live in
So
my head.
there are two ways, David, in which AI has made this
Yes.
dream possible. One is that it does some of the coding, or most
Yes.
of it for you,
Yeah.
and that's where most of us are, right?
Yeah.
There were lots of things I wanted to do, and I specifically had, three different things that I wanted coders to do for me, and I tried. I tried to get friends to help me. When I was at Logos, I tried to get some of the developers to help me. I really thought
Yeah.
this little tool would help my team. I just couldn't get them interested. Finally, one of them did happen. That was my friend Chris at Logos, did help me with the Raycast collusion between Raycast and Logos. But two other things, it wasn't until AI came out that I could do it. But there's really another key here, and this is maybe the biggest one, it seems to me,
Yeah.
is that it's impossible to automate the grading of people's
Yes.
self-generated translations. It's not multiple choice here.
No.
They're translating from Greek into English.
Yes.
And that has to be evaluated, and that's
Yeah.
where AI comes in.
Exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. So one, my own lack of technical abilities was a big hurdle, but then the second big hurdle that I kept butting up against is exactly what you said. So if I give a user a translation or a verse, and they provide their translation, how can I meaningfully provide them feedback on how they've done? And I thought about a bunch of different ways of doing that before LLMs, but LLMs are perfectly designed for that exact use case, taking text and comparing it to other text and providing text as feedback. So, but you can go into ChatGPT and do some of this stuff already on your own if you wanted to, or other LLM tools like Claude, and say like, hey, here's a translation of John 3:16. How did I do? And it can give you feedback. But as with as the best way to use LLMs is to provide it as much feedback as you possibly can, or context as you possibly can when doing these types of projects. So that was kind of the big unlock for my platform in particular, was basically providing context files for every verse of the New Testament that outlines in detail the Greek that exists in that verse in particular, acceptable variants for translation purposes. That way, every time a user actually submits a translation, I'm not just saying, hey, the user gave me this text and asking ChatGPT to tell me how I did, but I pass along a whole swath of additional context about that verse in particular, about the Greek in that verse, and then get some more structured feedback out of ChatGPT in the form of positive feedback, good things that the user did and noticed of the Greek, as well as some areas of improvement. How could they make their translation a little bit better, or be more respectful of the original Greek, or carry certain nuances?
Yeah.
That project is a big project, and it's not yet complete entirely, but the working kind of base is there for the entire New Testament.
That is so fantastic. And I think that was the thing that, well, I was initially a little skeptical. I thought, ChatGPT, I've seen its quality, and I, like many others, rely on it more and more practically every week. I'm shocked how often I find it useful, compared to when it first came out, and it's fascinating, but I just had no idea how often I would use it. But it does have what I would call confirmation bias. It seems to be eager to please. It's a little sycophantic, and if it's just going to tell me your translation was great, you get an A+, that's not really helpful for me. So I thought this brilliant intermediate step where you generated, and I saw this text, you showed it to me, basically exegetical comments on every verse of the New Testament, which were themselves assisted by AI. That would be a very difficult task for one individual to perform. But I took a look, and it was good stuff. So you can do the ideal. I think the ideal is you're a wealthy person, though that itself may not be ideal because it's hard for a rich man to enter heaven. But you can hire a personal tutor who's an expert. My old teacher, Randy Leedy, at ntgreekguy.com, and he can look over your shoulder and coach you. That's the ideal. But much as the internet revolution, and especially COVID, brought Zoom to our lives, to everybody's life, and made education at brick and mortar institutions accessible to people who didn't previously have the possibility of leaving Kalamazoo, Michigan, and going down to whatever town for school. Yes, the idea, it's not ideal to have AI grading. You'd rather have a person, but it's far better than nothing, far better. And you essentially do have a human teacher involved, because you, David, took the time to set up a structure, to gamify it, to offer especially that key piece where the LLM is getting coaching itself on the kinds of things that it ought to be observing.
Yeah, exactly. And that, it can only get better from here as well, in terms of models improving, in terms of their ability to understand context, and then me just improving those context files. I'm working through the New Testament myself with the tool, partly as a way to continue to sharpen my own Greek skills, but also as a way to just review those context files and beef them up. And a lot of my users too provide feedback to me on those context files, so that I can basically take all of the learnings from others, from my own study, and just throw this into like one big context file for a particular verse that can then serve every other user who ever comes to that verse in the future. And the feedback loop is really tight there. So I make the update once, and it's immediately available for all other users who use the platform. So it's really a great way to give people just the confidence and, like you said, that kind of as close to a personal touch as possible without having a personal tutor or something like that. But yeah, my biggest heart and all of that. So I did Greek in my undergrad at Liberty University.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Oh, good. Okay, good. So Liberty was where I first got introduced and fell in love with New Testament Greek. I minored in New Testament Greek there. I went to seminary at Reformed Theological Seminary in the Washington, D.C. area here where I live. I took Greek and Hebrew there. I TA'd for Greek for a couple years when I was still taking courses there. But you put so much time and energy and effort into memorizing forms and verbal aspect and tenses and moods and all of these things, declensions and vocab, all that stuff. And it's the worst thing in the world to watch so many seminary students or undergrad students pour so much intensive energy into trying to acquire these language skills to just put them on the shelf, never touch them, never do anything with them. And they just, as all languages, those skills just fade and drop so quickly. And so I'm trying to give an easy onboard to make that transition so that people don't lose those precious invested hours in their language learning abilities.
It seems to me that a little phrase you just uttered is a secret key. That is, it's the worst thing in the world. I think you have to regard whatever problem it is you feel called to solve as the worst thing in the world, or you won't throw the energy at it that's necessary. Like, I don't genuinely regard people losing their Greek as the worst thing in the world. To me, it's people being told that they have to read the King James Version and they shouldn't even touch something that's written in their own language. That's the worst thing in the world. But like one of the second worst things in the world, on a second tier, is misuse of Greek in the pulpit and in personal Bible study. And I feel, therefore, I have some understanding of someone who regards that problem as the worst thing in the world. And I'm so thankful for the energy that you've thrown into it. I've reflected often on the fact that evangelicalism in America has produced a ton of Bible study resources of all kinds. And we're kind of famous, John Dyer in his book, People of the Screen, called Christians, evangelical Christians, hopeful entrepreneurial pragmatists. Before we sit back and wait 10 years to see what the effects of the AI revolution will be on the church, or 20 years, let's just make a tool that helps people read their Bibles better. And as John, put out that sort of criticism, I thought, well, I am those things, because I want to use whatever tools come across my desk as a means of promoting the kingdom. And I think that you've done that. Can you talk a little bit before we wind up? Because I want to keep this conversation a little shorter than usual. I'm determined. Who is your ideal, client, customer? Who are you trying to help? Describe that person.
Yeah, totally. So anybody who's done any amount of coursework in Greek. So I presume a level of understanding of Greek. So I'm not trying to take somebody from 0 to 1 with Greek or from 0 to like Go. I'm trying to help folks who have already done some of that initial investment in language learning with Greek in particular. So I'm looking at any kind of undergrad, seminary, or self-taught students who are kind of at the point where they know the basics, but they just want repetitions, and they don't want to just do like practice workbooks. They want to actually handle the New Testament text itself. So that's kind of my ideal persona. That's who I built it for, at least initially. Although a lot of the folks who've been using the platform recently have been a little bit further on in life. They're retired. They have a lot more free time. They did
Yeah.
seminary work or Greek work at some point in their lives, and they've been doing courses with like Dr. Plummer at Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, or tuning into Daily Dose of Greek, or
Right.
using some of these other tools. I have quite a big kind of entourage of folks who are in that kind of stage of life, who are using the platform, really enjoying it. So, I mean, it's really just made for anybody who wants to just sharpen their Greek skills and
Yeah.
practice by actually doing it on the New Testament text itself.
So it's not for beginners. It's for people who
No.
have had some real Greek training.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's appropriate for me to give you an opportunity to tell my viewers about this, and also to talk to Daryl Burling, which I've done, in his Biblical Mastery Academy, which will
Yes.
give you personalized instruction. And then I'm going to have Kevin Grasso on the channel, who's going to talk about Biblingo. To me,
Yes.
it's the more the merrier. The more tools out there, the more people who are going to be helped. And I really appreciate the work that you've done, David. Tell me, finally, what's the call to action here? What should people do who are like, boy, that's me. I need that help.
Yeah, totally. So you can go to the site, koineguide.com. You can follow me on Twitter. I have a YouTube channel as well. But if you want to just get a sense of what the platform is like, there's a little preview button on the homepage. You can go through John 1:1 there, or if you just make a free account, you get access to all of 1 John chapter 1, about 10 verses or so, and you'll actually get the AI feedback. And if you kind of make an account and all that kind of fun stuff, that'll just give you a taste to see if is this platform right for me. It is a paid platform because I had to pay for all the AI expenditures. So there's a couple different pricing options there, monthly, annually. You can just outright purchase access to the New Testament. But yeah, that would be if you're curious, you want to give it a shot. Just make a free account, give it a shot on 1 John chapter 1, and see how it goes. You can reach out to me as well if you just have questions and want to learn more. I'm very open to chatting with folks and talk language learning theories and how I can make the platform even better for folks. So yeah, I'm all ears if people want to connect.
Great. The goal here is knowing God by knowing His Word. And He has chosen to reveal Himself through primarily Hebrew and Greek. And obviously the New Testament is in Greek. And although you can learn Greek and not know God, everybody who really puts the time in and keeps it up, at least in my experience, values it highly, as I do. So I recommend koineguide.com to all my viewers out there. And thank you again, David, for putting the effort into this and for spending time with us on the channel today.
You are most welcome. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate the time. And I look forward to chatting more about these things in the future.